Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Hard Cam Heat, where the takes are hot, filter is gone, pipe bombs might get dropped, and nothing in wrestling is safe. Let's jump into the last week. However, I do want to let y'all know I think Sunday is going to be my new recording day and release day. Um, I'm only doing this on Saturday because I have to work tomorrow, which is a rarity. But yeah, so instead of Wednesdays, I'm gonna try to aim for doing them Sundays. And yeah. And on Saturdays I will be doing predictions um on pay-per-view weeks. So Saturdays are predictions for pay-per-views and Sundays are going to be the regular weekly podcast. So now let's jump into it. Let's start with Monday Night Raw. We gave it 3.5 stars and a B- grade. We started out with the Vision versus Dragon Lee and Javon Evans. What an incredible tag team Lee and Evans are. It was so fast paced. Somebody was flying around somewhere. You blinked, you missed some cool shit. It was just all over the place. It was fun to watch. I loved it. Maxine and Logan, obviously, of course, helped the Vision to get their win. After the match, they ended up jumping Dragon Lee and Javon Evans, which in turn brought out Alpha Academy. While that was happening, Maxine decided to fucking bitch slap the dog shit out of Otis. Vision ended up destroying them. That was the end of that segment. So next up, we were in the back for a backstage segment. Judgment Day was threatening Danhausen, saying that they need their money back and like they've given them enough time. Da 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 da. So then Danhausen came out to the ring with a briefcase full of his money. Said he was going to give it to the crowd, which obviously in turn, brings out Judgment Day who weren't happy with that. So they ended up jumping Danhausen. Joe Hendry came down to make the save, and while that was happening, Liv Morgan was a sneaky little fuck and grabbed the briefcase, and they booked it out to the back, opened the briefcase. It was fake money. So then they're bitching Adam Pearce about it, and JD takes the bag and like whips it back. Lo and behold, guess who's standing there? Opa. Opa. Yep. So, obviously, needless to say, he was not too thrilled. Matches were made. JD versus Oba up next. Dom versus Joe Hendry later. Before that, we got another Big Cass vignette. I got questions here. Before Big Cass was even thought of in this conversation, it was talked about Enzo Amore was gonna be returning. And that he was at the PC and all this. So why is he not in the vignettes? Did they decide, hey, I'm not gonna take another chance on you? Or are we gonna get a little swerve action here and he's gonna come with Cass and they're just not telling us? Or is he gonna come at the same time as Cass and they're gonna finish a rivalry that I don't think that they really finished or had a fair shot at? Let me know in the comments what you think because I genuinely want to know people's opinions on this one. But yeah, so then we had the JD Obafemi match. JD didn't want to get in the ring. He was doing the whole whoa, like, I'm not doing it type deal. Danhausen comes from behind, takes him by the chunks, throws him into the ring. And Joe Hendry helped him with that. It wasn't just Danhausen. They both helped throw little man, big head into the ring. Complete and utter squash match. No other words. I don't think JD got a single, pinky laid on Oba. Maybe that was Oba's little warm-up match for SummerSlam. I don't know. Solo Sikoa came out. He's got a proposition to make. He called out Seth Rollins. Seth gets in the ring, and he asks Solo Sikoa, "We fighting or talking?" Solo looks at him and says, "Talk." He tells Seth that it's not just, him and Roman at SummerSlam. It's going to be 1 versus 4. Seth versus the entire bloodline, not just Roman. Which, I mean, Seth's not that fucking dumb. He's been around the block on this one a couple of times, so he knows. Solo offered to watch his back. Seth said he'll think about it. Solo's very adamant about it, saying, like, there's nothing to think about. Like, you need to let me watch your back or you're going to lose. Out came Jacob. Solo dipped out. Seth hit a super kick on Jacob. That was the end of that segment. And we had Ethan Page and Rusev versus Penta and Gable. We're really testing these people who are fighting at SummerSlam this week, I guess. But anyway, Gable and Penta work pretty good together for the fact that they're about to have, pretty big match. They picked up the win together. Gable kind of snatched the title from the referee's hand. It was a tiny snatch, but it wasn't like a, "Oh, thanks for handing it to me." It was like a, "Give me that." But so he grabbed the title, looked at it a few times. He handed it to Penta and said, I read his lips. He looked at him and he goes, "For now." So tension increasing a little bit, but seems like friendly competition, And we go backstage. We get Jacob going up into Seth's face. So Seth begs him to hit him. Seth says, "I know this game. I've been there." Roman won't let Jacob Fatu hit him. He asks Jacob if when he wins, if he gets the bag boy too, which calling Jacob Fatu a bag boy is criminal. Absolutely criminal. Jacob says if there's anything left of Seth after SummerSlam, then he'll beat his ass too. So that's clearly the direction that this is going for after SummerSlam Fallout. Paul Heyman cut a promo on how great Lesnar is and how he's going to destroy Oba in Hell in a Cell. Earlier, I talked about how Dom Mysterio was going to fight Joe Hendry. That match happened. Liv drove Joe Hendry into the ring post. Out came Danhausen to get bitch slapped, so he left. Crowd was really not into the match at all. And I don't get it. Like, again, I said, WWE does not know what to do with Joe Hendry. And that is very bad creative, very bad booking. But the crowd does love him anyway, and everybody loves Dom Mysterio. Everybody. Well, I mean, you either love him or you love to hate him. So the fact that the crowd was so quiet kind of bothered me, but whatever. Danhausen went to the back after he got bitch slapped and brought out Io Sky. And then they both did the Io thing, which was fun to watch. Looked like Danhausen was going to pull something doing that. But Io and Liv got in a brawl on the outside. The distraction let Danhausen hit his finisher on Dom. And Joe Hendry wins. They did the Joe Hendry turnaround. 10 out of 10, top tier. LA Knight ended up cutting a promo on Solo saying he's trying to trust him. But then he goes out and offers to watch Seth's back. He can't believe it. It makes him sick. He cuts a deep promo on how he's everything that Reigns and the people in the back wanted Reigns to be. I think there was real emotion in the bass in his voice when he said that. And he's not wrong. LA Knight ended up making himself. WWE didn't make him. He was a mid-carder who ended up giving himself his own personality and getting the fans on his own side. That wasn't thank you to WWE. Honestly, they're hindering him because he's got all this charisma and he's good in the ring, minus the botches. And they do nothing with him. And I think I talked about this before, but super underrated. so I understand his point. He says they'll take out the bloodline so that they can't even help Reigns. He says that he'll smack Fatu back to factory settings. I love when he keeps saying that line. I think it's so clever. It's like so stupid, but it's so clever. I don't know. He's got these catchphrases, and again, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's self-made, and he needs the rocket on his ass. You guys took the chance on Jey Uso. You can do it with LA Knight. All right. Final match of the night. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. Y'all know I absolutely hate apron spots. However, Jacob Fatu gave LA Knight a Samoan drop on the apron, and I fucking stood up like, yeah! That shit was sick. So I guess that might make me a little bit of a hypocrite, but I'm gonna call a 6 spot. But anyway, Jimmy Uso came out, big shocker there. He came out pretty much just to get hit by Solo. Jacob takes him out with the suicide dive. Jimmy distracted the ref from making the pin count. Royce comes. Royce beats Jimmy up. Then we see Jay for the first time in a few weeks. He took out Royce Keys. Then he ended up getting drop kicked by Knight. Jacob gets the win. Solo attacks right after. Then the Usos attack him right after. Then Keys came out, laid them all out. Yeah, hold on. And anyway, it ended up with Knight getting the 3D and completely taken out, and Bloodline stood tall at the end to end the show. So, sorry for that little miscommunication at the end. I gotta work on my notes. Moving on to NXT. Gave that one 3.5 stars and a C+ grade. Started out with Noam Dar, Romeo Moreno, and Saquon Sugars versus Dark State, starting the brawl before the bell. Sugars completely just specifically wanted to destroy Dion, which he did. He put him through a wall. Dark State ended up picking up the victory, though. After the bell, they were still fighting, had to get separated. I was really kind of surprised that they opened with that match because they've been building it for weeks. So, but anyway, women in the back were talking about not getting opportunities. Jada Parker was talking about Natty. Kendall says the only reason everyone dealing with Natty is because of Jada, which I don't. Are they like setting up for that to be a thing? And they keep having Kendall say these like underhanded comments. I don't know. Curious. Also, Kendall Gray ended up coming out after that. Her music, and Def Rebel obviously sucks, but her music sounds like it's one of the video game themes, like the generic ones that you can pick for your Create a Superstar. Anyway, we get a segment with her and Lola Vice. Bear with me for this because I like using actual like quotes of things that were said. I don't like trying to reword it myself because then I feel I don't do it justice. So Kendall tells Lola that she's proud of her. Lola says why, so that she can prove that it wasn't a fluke when Kendall beat Lola last time. Lola says she's not done yet. She told Kendall that she needs validation. Kendall whips back, saying her title is her validation, and unlike Lola, it didn't take years to prove that she belongs here. Ouch. Says no one in the back or standing in front of her. Says that there is no one in the back or standing in front of her that can beat her. That was a zinger. And a couple weeks ago, when she won the title, she said that she was not good at promos, and she has proven herself wrong, I think, because she's had a few good ones since then. Lola says maybe she can't beat her in a match, but she can beat her in a fight. And she told Kendall to think about it for the next week because if they do have a fight, it'll expose Kendall. She challenged Kendall to Underground. Lola ended up telling her to be nervous. Kendall tells Lola after she knocks her out, she can go back to shaking it. Ooh, damn! Damian Priest ain't gonna be happy with that comment. Alright. Keanu Carver defeated Hank. Not really a shock there with how they're pushing him. He attacked him after the match, though, so Tank came in. He got tossed into the announce table by Carver. EK Prosper came out to help, and the three of them took out Carver. So, I wonder what they're gonna do with that, because you got 3 against 1. And I don't know if Carver's like that much of a beast to be doing a handicap match like that yet. He might be. Alright. Natty backstage with Thea Hale. Natty tells Thea, I have a cat named Theo. I don't know why I just said that, but anyway. Natty tells Thea that she can help her. Thea then says that she likes Jade and that she does not like Natty. Basically, that was the end of the segment. But tension's growing there. Backstage, they showed a clip from the night prior, so Monday Night Raw, of Shiloh Hill backstage with Danhausen. He asked him for a tooth, and Danhausen obviously wanted human monies for it, but instead he got stolen crypto. So, got a tooth for some stolen crypto. This is WWE. Alright, Jada Parker versus Natty. Jada took it to Natty a lot in the beginning. There was lots of bitch slapping, though, and I hate that shit. Like, 1 is good. You do it through the whole match, it's annoying at that point. And just not a good look for women's wrestling. Or men's wrestling, because they do it too. Jada ended up putting Natty in the sharpshooter. Nikita and Carmen were fighting over, if they should throw in the towel, if they should not throw in the towel. Thea Hale ended up making the decision for him. Grabbed that towel, threw it into the ring. Ref saw it, calls for the bell. Jada wins. Natty is pissed. I thought that was a cool ending. I don't know. I enjoyed that ending. Kalani was backstage and doing exactly what we all knew she was going to do, saying that she got robbed. Stone told her that the ref's decision was final. She even pulled up how the ref screwed up, and he was just like, "Decision's final." And she says she got screwed over again. Throws a little hissy fit, walks off. You have to know that was coming though. Alright, we find out that we get OTM versus Birthright next week, but Bronco needs to pick what show he's going to be on because AAA and NXT are on the same day. And he says that they'll make that decision in private because he doesn't want to, pressure or piss off his OTM brother. So, it'll be interesting to see what decision he makes. Is he going to choose Los Perros? Is he going to stick OTM? I think we know what he's going to do. My opinion's Los Perros. Then we got Nico Vance versus Shawn Spears. Spears' music played, and he didn't come out. He was right behind Nico Vance, pulled one of those. Started attacking him from behind. Izzy Dame kept interfering, so Lizzie Rain came down, started whooping that ass. Spears went at some point during this and grabbed the chair that was up at the entrance ramp, and he paid his homage to Eddie Guerrero. He did the smack it down on the ground, throw it to your opponent while the ref's not looking, lay down, ref turns around, sees Nico Vance with the chair, ding ding ding. I always love those Eddie spots. God, I am a sucker for Eddie spots. But yeah, that rivalry is gonna keep going and getting deeper. Great end to that match though. It was fun. I liked watching that. Miles Bourne versus Cam Hendricks for the North American title next week. And then Born in Heights versus Vanity Project for the tag titles in a few weeks. That was all determined in a backstage segment. Skylar Ray took on the debuting Reina Volcan. Wasn't much of a squash, honestly. I thought it would be. Reina picked up the win, though. Skylar Ray also got into a nasty looking car accident. Like, I think it was the day after. So, good thing she's okay, though. Glad she, you know, got on TV and then ended up okay. Bittersweet week for her. So, Shiloh Hill got that tooth from Danhausen. Then he was acting creepy backstage with Stone. Like, again, like the Bray Wyatt creepy. I really hope they do, like, keep whatever idea they have for him going right now, because I like it a lot. But anyway, he got his wish. He gets a match next week with Tristan Angels. Main event time. Main event. Tony D'Angelo versus Nakaru for the NXT Championship in a street fight. Match started out with the mist in Tony's eyes. He kept kicking Tony's ass for the first half of the match. At the end of the match, Nakaru went for the mist again. Tony got his hands up and blocked it, and he put his hand right in his face. So, Uno reverse, bitch. Then he ended up low blowing him with he took a kendo stick in between his legs and yanked it up. So, then the low blow, and then he took him up on the steel steps that were in the ring, choke slammed him through a table, and then he retained. And then, but wait for it, there's more. Mike Santana debuts. They have a stare off to end the show. He debuted a lot sooner than I thought he would, but I'm glad that he is in WWE. It's nice to see his face again. It's only been like fucking 3 weeks, I guess. But yeah, Mike Santana is in NXT now, and I think that is the biggest takeaway from NXT this week. AEW Dynamite from this week. 3.5 stars, C+ grade. Start out with Omega and Ospreay sharing like little fun backstage, back and forth. Moxley interrupted them, and he just came in. He's like, "No tension in this room at all." And then he walks off, and then Omega looks at Ospreay and was like, "Well, there wasn't." And then he walks off. 3 of them will be on the same tag team later in the night. Interesting. Alright. Darby Allin versus Kevin Knight for the TNT Championship was next. Darby attacked Knight before the bell. There was a spot where Darby jumped off the ring post onto Kevin Knight, who was sitting on the barricade. Darby looked like he was selling a knee injury for a while. I mean, who knows if he actually hit it on the concrete or if he was just selling to sell. During the match, the ref got taken out. Knight went to hit Darby with the belt. Darby ducked it. Then he hit a Scorpion Death Drop, but there was no ref for the cover. Darby picked up the title. He was going to use it, but he chose to not, which might have cost him. He went to go do the coffin drop instead of using the title, but Kevin Knight reversed it. Then he went coast to coast, and then he hit his UFO frog splash to retain. As he's celebrating his win, Kyle Fletcher's music hits. He looks annoyed as fuck. Not Kyle Fletcher, Kevin Knight did. the rest of the Callis family also came out. Big tension between Fletcher and Knight. I don't know. I mean, clearly it's a whose dick's bigger, but I don't know when it like. Sorry, my cats are being annoying, but I don't know if it started like mainly happening from you know Fletcher cutting off his celebration or what, but um he says that he'll have everyone banned from ringside for his match against Bandito at Redemption and for his match right now with Okada versus Brodito. So, in other words, he's saying he doesn't need the Callis family to pick up a win. So, I guess we'll see. Alright, like I just said, we got Fletcher and Okada versus Brodito. It was back and forth all match. It was a great tag match. Pretty much like what a tag match should be. Wasn't too boring. It wasn't too stale. Everybody got their spots in. Uh, there was a part where Okada was supposed to break up a pin, and he did, but barely. I think like he might have grazed them with like the side of his arm. Um, at the end of the match, Okada ended up knocking out Fletcher by accident. Brodito picked up a big win there. Especially after Fletcher said that he doesn't need the Callis family. I mean, like, you look pretty dumb there, but maybe that's going to go with Okada's getting thrown out of there soon. But Okada and Fletcher were fighting on the outside. I mean, Okada was apologizing and Fletcher's just in his face screaming. Callis sends in the family to take out Brodito, but Andrade came out for the save. Alrighty. Mick Foley came out to mediate a convo between Tekla and Willow. Again, I'm going to be hardcore reading my notes because I don't want to screw anything up as far as what was said and done during it. So, Tekla says she isn't buying none of the smiling crap out of Willow. Says she puts on a mask and bottles up feelings but smiles anyways and is poisoned inside. On Sunday, she will do her a favor and beat the poison out of her to see how ugly she really is. Willow says that the difference between them is she never had to convince anyone who she is, tells her that the toxic thing is a facade, and she says Tekla talks all big because she feels so small, tells her that she's only a shortcut to get the title. Tekla did not like that. Mick says he sees a lot of himself in Willow. Tekla tells him to shut up. Willow says enough disrespect. And then tells her that she's acting like a dumb bitch, which isn't that Tekla's line. But anyway, she says her and Mick stop at nothing to get what they want, regardless of the smiles. And then Tekla and Willow have everything to lose at Redemption, but she'll walk out champion. Tekla says when she wins, smile anyway. And then she bitch slapped Willow, and then she hid behind Mick Foley. And then popped her around Mick Foley with the microphone, and then she proceeded to flip off Mick a few times. She goes to hit Willow with her belt, like the belt on her pants, not her championship. And Willow pounced her. So, end of that segment, Willow ended up getting the better of her, and honestly had better promos lines than her. Jay White versus Clark Connors. This was Jay White's first singles match since March 2025. The finish of it was absolutely sick, though. Connors went for a spear, and Jay White reversed it. He caught him into a guillotine. And then he bridged with a triangle choke. Absolutely sick. It's probably on Twitter for a small clip somewhere. Go look for it. It is sick. Probably used in the UFC somewhere. But Connors tried attacking after the match, but he caught the switchblade. David Finlay then came in because we all knew he was somewhere hiding with the shillelagh, which he ended up nailing Jay White with. Then the Bang Bang Gang stormed the ring, and then Connors and Finlay pissed off. Cope and Cage started cutting a promo, and then Pac and Claudio jumped them. Pac ended up hitting the stomp on Cage, And this is in the backstage area, so I mean, it's not like it was like in the ring. So I'm sure they're probably gonna sell like a head injury there. But Pac tells Cope and Cage that they bit off more than they can chew by challenging them. I think he's correct. We'll get into that in another video that I am making after this one for my predictions for AEW Redemption. Alright, we had the Sisters of Sin versus Divine Dominion. This was the hardcore match, I think. There were kendo sticks and chairs galore. The match was really good, though. The crowd was fucking into it. You know it's good when the crowd's chanting women's wrestling, because one should always be chanting that, because women's wrestling is fucking great. And this match was a testament to that. The four of them did so fucking good. Such a good watch. Again, if you have time, go watch it. It's a fun match. I love that in the past 10 years, women get gimmick matches now. Well deserved. Never should have had deserve it. It should always been a thing. But let me not get political here. Sky Blue got chokeslammed through a table on the outside during this too, which was wild. Divine Dominion ended up retaining the titles. Now we go to the main event. Omega, Mox, and Ospreay on one team. That's insane. Super killer. But versus the Callis family. Callis family isolated Ospreay early. Mox, Ospreay, and Omega worked great as a tag team until Omega accidentally hit Mox with a knee. Mox didn't let it ruin, the match. He still helped out, did his part, and helped his team get the win. After the match, Omega tried apologizing, and he asked him to shake hands. They both push each other. Well, obviously, Mox pushed him first, and then he pushed back, because he's not just going to be a little bitch and stand there. But, Ospreay got in the middle of them. Tensions were high. Omega ended up pushing Ospreay. Ospreay pushed back. The Young Bucks came down. Mox pushed them. Mox pushed them. And then the Bucks were fighting with Ospreay and Omega. Ospreay also hit Omega again during this. Don Callis' family came out to try attacking Mox, but he got the better till Knight came. Knight came fucking flying down the ramp, dove over the ropes, had his championship belt in his hand, and just leveled Mox. Ospreay. No, Omega. Jesus Christ. Two brain cells don't work together well sometimes. But yeah, Knight leveled Omega with his championship belt, who in turn got busted open. So that's what we ended the night with. A lot of clutterfuck, just kind of like my brain's doing right now. Alright, so now we're at TNA. 3.5 stars, C+ grade. AJ Francis and Kaz versus Moose and Elijah. Blink and you'll miss that one, it was that quick. Pretty depressing, because I was expecting more. It was just a very short match for no reason. Francis and Kaz got the win. Expressions went to hit Elijah with the guitar, which also he took his sling off. And he got stopped by Moose. Moose grabbed the guitar. And Elijah ended up hitting Expressions with the tombstone, so that neck brace he wears he might really need now. Order 4 was backstage. They were casting ballots for number 1 contender for Mustafa Ali's title. Elena Black versus Wendy Chu. Black dominated most of it, but it went to the 10-minute time limit. So both got eliminated from the Knockouts TV title tournament. Xia Brookside then came and attacked Elena from behind. Chu ran her off, or at least she thought. She went to go check on Elena Black, and Xia Brookside came and knocked Wendy Chu into the steel steps as well. And by elegance, the final thing of takeaway here is M by elegance goes to the semifinals due to Elena Black and Wendy Chu being eliminated. So she's already pretty far in this tournament and only had one match. Systems out proclaiming their dominance. They say that they're the gatekeepers of TNA. Out came Ricky Sosa. Sosa says sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, but you can't keep the young savage down. He says he only lost because of Brian Myers, which, yeah, pretty accurate. Eddie Edwards says it's his fault for turning them down. He could have had people, watching his back. He could have had a family. And now he's alone with no one caring about what happens to him. Out comes Leon Slater. I don't know why he even, said that, because, Leon Slater has had his back for the past few weeks. You would think, he would put two and two together before he talk, but whatever. Anyway, Leon Slater says he has Sosa's back. Says System can't do anything without scheming. Looks like next week it's going to be the System versus Leon Slater and Ricky Sosa. So, backstage, they cast the ballots for Mustafa Ali's international title. Jason Hotch got voted the most. New #1 contender. Oh, I'm also glad that they clarified that you couldn't vote for yourself. I wish they did that before I said something about it last week. But anyway, Jason Hotch, new #1 contender. Mustafa laughs right in the kid's face. Right in his face. And says, oh, that's just the boys. They're just ribbing you type shit. Then he says, go tell Daria, it was just a joke. And to, recast it. And Jason's, looking at him like, dude, what the fuck? And, Mustafa's like, go, run on, go ahead. So, off he went. He went for a walk to go find Daria. Alright. More on that later. Then we had the Hardys versus the Righteous at the Hardy compound. Matt lost a shoe at some point during this match, too. It was just funny. I, looked down and I looked up, and he's got one shoe, and then he's holding the other one. But, anyway. These Hardy compound matches, I imagine, are what it was like growing up at the Hardy household when they were kids. Great imaginations. But, the end felt like a very bad acid trip. If you know, you know. But, yeah. So, the great imaginations can also make you look like you're on acid, I guess. But, I love the cameos by the Hardy family. And Willow. We got a Willow cameo here. And shout out to Willow sporting an Umaga shirt. Rest in peace. I also thought that the Righteous won when they poisoned Hardy, but nope. They came out in goat attire. They had a shirt that said goats. They had a goat mask on. And then you just hear Jeff Hardy go, oh hell nah, I need another goat. And then he goes walking in a fucking lake. And then he brought out his old TNA championship, the Immortal Championship, which I love to see. That's when I was heavy into TNA. Even though that's supposedly the worst time of TNA. But yep, he hit a swanton off a bulldozer. He went inside the bulldozer thingy, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway. And Dutch was on a table. Hardy's picked up the win. So they show Hotch going to Daria's office. He's right outside the door. Leon Slater stops him. And he tells him that it's his time. It wasn't a joke. They all believe in him. The only person in his way is him. It looks like it resonates with Hotch a little bit, but he still looks like he's about to walk in the door, and then he gets a phone call. Later on, we will find out who that phone call's from. We got Leisha Edwards versus Jada Stone. Leisha sounds like Liv Morgan, low-key. I mean, do you wanna know something? I don't know. It just, heavily makes me think of Liv Morgan. I guess Liv Morgan sounds more like her because Lish's been away or been around way longer. Um, Towards the end, Eddie Edwards tripped up Jade Stone to try helping Lish, but it didn't work. Stone ends up picking up the win. Big upset there. It was a really good showing from her too, for her not being like well known. Uh, Lisha attacked her after the bell. Stone fought back. Anyway, Stone advances in the Knockout TV title tourney. And then we see Hotch. He goes back, tells Mustafa Ali, with respect, he'll see him next week after talking to Slater and his wife. Mustafa's pissed. And I can only imagine that Hotch is going to get kicked out. I feel like an entire new Order 4 is coming. We'll see. Then we got Nick Nemeth versus Casey Navarro. I was very much looking forward to this match. When right before Nick's about to walk out, he's walking with Ryan, then he holds him back and says, "I got this." So no Ryan on Nick's hip. Match started with a bitch slap. Lots of bitch slaps this week. Anyway, he told Casey that he doesn't belong here. Casey ended up super kicking the fuck out of him for it. Didn't take long for Nemeth to get back into control. He dominated early, but Casey got some offense in at the end. He botched stealing the Famouser. Like, he was trying to do one of the moves Nemeth is, like, very known for, and he half botched it. He didn't jump high enough, it looked like. I don't know what happened, honestly, but, Nemeth ended up hitting Casey with a super kick from hell. Casey comes back with a 305 and a code red. Not long after, Nemeth hits his danger zone to retain. It was a great main event. I'm honestly impressed that Ryan didn't get involved at all, though. But yeah, they traded pretty signature heavy moves towards the end, back and forth. Great fight. Nick won cleanly. So, yep. Alright, next up we got SmackDown. 3.5 stars, C+ grade. I feel like that's like the consensus for this week. It started out with the contract signing with Gunther and Aldis to open. In order for Nick to compete, he has to give up being GM. So for now, Adam Pearce is the general manager of both SmackDown and Raw. The signing also means that WWE can't be held reliable. Yada yada yada. Basically, if Aldis gets hurt, he can't, turn around and sue or blame WWE. And Aldis says he didn't want this, but Gunther found his breaking point. He signs the contract. Gunther tells Aldis this will be the greatest moment of his career. Says that this is beneath him and he should be going after the title, but he's sitting here because Aldis didn't know how to do his job. He tells Aldis that he's jealous of him. Tells Nick that he never really made it. He always wanted to be a WWE superstar and didn't make it. And then Gunther came in and got it all. Gunther signs. Says he'll turn Aldis into a legend like Goldberg, Styles, and Cena, meaning like retire him. Bear with me. Oh, Aldis says if Gunther believed that he wouldn't keep saying it, he's saying that he thought he could get away with everything, but he can't. And then he says that Gunther's the one that doesn't want any part of it. Tells him that he got himself into a situation that he can't get out of, and that he put his own career in jeopardy because Nick has nothing to lose, but Gunther does. Goes from career killer to the man that got made a bitch by his boss. Cue the brawl on that one. That would make me fight. Gunther ended up hitting a low blow and then powerbombed Aldis through the table. Typical contract signing. Love it. They were going to do a backstage update on the Aldis's condition. Got interrupted by Sammy. He says that the powers that be didn't want him as champ, had to defend on a show that he wasn't even on. He's got a good point there. Calls Cody the Golden Boy and calls CM Punk corporate poster boy number 2. He says everyone has a match at SummerSlam and he doesn't. And he was only champion 18 days ago, so make it make sense. Another point that he's got there. After he says that, Pierce is seen going in to the trainer's room to try to check on Aldis. Sammy cuts him off, tells him to make it right. He wants the title match at SummerSlam to be made a triple threat. Pierce yells at him to shut up. There's going to be a fatal 4-way later, and the winner will face Sami Zayn for a number 1 contenders match at SummerSlam. Wasn't good enough for Sami Zayn, but he ends up agreeing and says no more shenanigans. Alright, next up we got Brie Bella versus Lainey Reed. Jacy Jayne cuts a promo saying that she's going to go after Tiffy Time's title, so that's going to be in the making within the coming weeks after SummerSlam, I guess. Brie won, used her veteran tactics, but Fatal Influence attacked her after the bell. Nikki Bella returns, so we got a big return there. You can look, but you can't touch. Anyway, yeah, I was fangirling when she came running back. Hasn't even been that long, but I love Homegirl. But yeah, so she made the save. 3-on-3 at SummerSlam. Can't believe I just said Survivor Series. Wrong fucking time of the month. Time of the month, time of the year. Jesus. Anyways, Finn Balor's backstage. He says SummerSlam. See, I got it right that time. SummerSlam 2016 was the best and the worst night of his career. Says that he's gonna win and get that back. In comes Gunther. He says he'll take what's his, and then he mocks Finn for, 10 years being a long time. Backstage, there was a segment with Chelsea Green and Tiffy. They're just doing the what ifs, like doing the funny back and forth of like who's gonna win this, who's gonna win that. Yeah. Anyway, after that, Blake Monroe taps Tiffany on the shoulder and says that she likes her because they are alike, but she's coming for that U.S. title. So who the fuck is Tiffany's next fucking thing? Is it Jacy Jayne or is it Blake Monroe? Or is it both? Who knows? I don't. I genuinely have no fucking idea. Anyways, we got Chelsea Green defeating Kiana James to go to the ladder match at SummerSlam. Backstage, we had a funny Truth and Priest segment. Truth thinks they have a title match against the War Raiders this week, but it is next week, so keep that in mind. Priest says he's in a 4-way tonight, and Truth hits back with, I don't even think that's PG. The classic line. I love it. He ends up walking off. Well, he walks off in a minute. Cody Rhodes comes in and says maybe him and Punk will come for those titles next, kind of what Punk said a couple weeks ago. He tells Priest that he's going to be the champ, and Priest says that him and the boys in the back are sick of the same people being the face of the brand. Oh! He's saying what all of us fans are saying, too. Cody says that he likes the attitude that Priest has given him and says good luck. Cody Rhodes then goes out to the ring. CM Punk then comes out to the ring. Cody goes to hand him the mic, drops it right in front of him. Also, I don't know if anybody saw at the SummerSlam, I don't remember what the hell it's called, but there's a whole beef right now because at the end of Saturday night's main event, CM Punk went to put his title on his belt and hit Cody Rhodes in the eye, and Cody's throwing a bitch fit over it, and they're having back and forth. Punk kind of face washed him, and yeah. So, back to what I was saying. Cody goes to hand Punk the mic, it drops right in front of him. it was horrible acting. Not even close to looking legit. Punk gets pissed. He won't pick it up. Instead, he goes over to the personnel where they normally grab the mics from and gets one from there. Basically says like he doesn't trust Cody. He says I don't even want to like bend down to pick up that microphone because I don't know if you're gonna kick me in my teeth. I have to watch what I'm doing and look behind me to see if you're gonna do something behind my back. So yeah, he's basically saying he doesn't trust him. Cody says he's gonna tell him why he needs to beat Punk for himself. Tells Punk he loves him and he respects him, but he doesn't like him. Interesting. I feel like a lot of people relate to that in their daily lives. He says that the pipe bomb showed that there's another way and that he followed the promo to the T. Said he dropped a nuke on the business, which he did. He fucking created an entire another promotion that is still going strong to this day. And that is still giving WWE is always going to be top, but they're giving WWE a run for their money. Anyways, and then he says that he knows that the fans wish that it was Punk instead of Cody. And I think there is truth in that, at least for me. Like, I love Cody, and I love what he made of himself, but I feel like Punk was just starting to get that going, and then he just went away for 10 years. But, anyway, he says that for this story to have a proper ending, he has to beat Punk at SummerSlam. Punk says he has a shadow a few people can't get from under, and Cody's one of them. Tells Cody he was smart enough to pay attention and, go off and do his own thing. Says Cody showed him that there's also a way back, so while he was showing Cody that there's a way out, Cody showed him that there's a way back. And I like that. I thought that was like poetic to their stories and situations. He tells Cody that Cody's lying to himself, that he can't handle the pressure of taking the title off someone he loves. Says Cody makes himself the victim and then makes everyone else his enemy. CM Punk says he's his only friend left and tells Cody, because he listed like John Cena, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. So he's saying that, he's the only one left. But he tells Cody he'll break his heart at SummerSlam. Cody says he'll whoop Punk's ass at SummerSlam. And then Punk says he'll give him an ass whooping with the lesson attached. Says no one can touch him, not even Dusty's kid. Which, rightfully so, pissed Cody off. So they're like butting foreheads at the end of that segment. And Cody's music played instead of CM Punk's. So that was a point that was made too. Then we go backstage for an interview. Charlotte says she'll go through Nia tonight to get to Jade, and that Payback's a bitch. Charlotte defeats Nia due to Jade Cargill and her goon squad's interference, so Nia gets fucked again. When Jade came out, Nia told her to mind her business. Jade did not mind her business, and they ended up jumping Charlotte. So I wonder what's going to happen with Nia in this little triangle of fuckery. Alright, and then last up, we had the Fatal 4-Way to face Sami Zayn for the number 1 contender match. We had Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Royce Keys, and Trick Williams. I love the veteranship in this match, and the new kids on the block being in this match. I loved how, even it was, and those 4 talents in the ring together are incredible. Royce Keys and Trick Williams will be big-ass stars in the future, especially Trick Williams. But anyway, Solo came out during the match. He helped Royce not get pinned. He took his foot, put it on the rope. I don't remember who was pinning him. I think it was Trick. But then the Usos came down to beat up Solo. Then LA Knight came out to even it up. And then eventually Jacob Fatu pulled Royce Keys, hit his finisher, and then Jacob Fatu came and pulled Royce out. And then he completely destroyed him. Hit him with the hip toss and the barricade. Which set up for a lot of distractions and for Finn Balor to get the win. So Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn for the #1 contender spot. And I said earlier I will not be doing I don't know if I said it earlier actually, but I will not be doing Dynamite or AAA this week. I have to work tomorrow. I do not normally work tomorrow, so I won't really have time. If anything is important, I'll post it on my socials. Just look up Hardcam Heat. And yeah, pipe bomb wise this week, I don't really have any. Genuinely don't think I have any. That's a first. Alright, guys. Thank you for being here and believing in me and following and listening to my hour-long spiels, recapping everything with a little sprinkle of my opinion in it. Again, we're figuring it out as we go, but your support means the world to me. If you could like, comment, subscribe, follow, share with your friends. Please get wrestling people involved. Let's talk wrestling. Get your buddy to be a wrestling fan again. If listening to me helps them catch up, please. I try to break down, a week's worth of wrestling in under an hour and a half, so let me be that voice. If you forgot, a couple of shows during the week, just come listen. Alright. That is all this week for Hardcam Heat. If you got something to say, that means I'm doing my job. And I will catch you next time. Till then, let's catch some heat.